In the early hours of September 16th, 2004, a Category 3 hurricane slams into the coast near Gulf Shores, Alabama.
We don't expect Ivan to be this strong when it makes landfall. This is a rare Category 5 storm, but having said that,
this is an extremely stressful time for the people here on Gulf Shores. After all, Ivan could be the most intense hurricane to hit this area in some 25 years.
It's just water and little bits of trees flowing everywhere.
The wind is screaming at 120 miles an hour. The Gulf is climbing over the dunes and into the streets. Every camera in the country is pointed at that coastline, and every one of them is aimed at the wrong place. Because the deadliest thing Hurricane Ivan ever did wasn't happening on the beach. It was happening hundreds of miles inland, in quiet towns that would never see a single wave. Over the next 3 days, Ivan would spawn 117 tornadoes across 9 states, from Florida all the way up to Pennsylvania.
Right there, tornado on the ground. Lightning, okay, you can see the lightning flashes. Transformers are popping. Tornado on the ground right now.
More tornadoes than any hurricane in American history had ever produced, a record it still holds today.
It looked more like a war zone than I've ever seen.
Everywhere you went, total devastation, total road blockages, just, annihilated.
This is the story of the storm that came ashore as a hurricane and then turned itself into a tornado machine. To understand how one storm could do this, you have to go back to where it was born. Ivan started as a cluster of storms rolling off the coast of Africa in late August. A classic long track system, the kind that crosses thousands of miles of open ocean, gathering strength the whole way. And grow it did.
Can you see those winds blowing? Right up there on the edge of the pool. It's just incredible, and that's only going to increase as we head into the evening hours.
Ivan reached Category 5 strength not once, but 3 separate times. At its peak, its winds hit 165 miles per hour, and its central pressure fell to 910 millibars, making it one of the most intense Atlantic hurricanes ever recorded, and the strongest ever measured that far southeast in the tropics. Long before it reached the United States, it had already shown what it could do. On September 7th, the eye passed almost directly over the tiny island nation of Grenada.
Oh my God.
Roughly 9 out of every 10 buildings on the island were damaged or destroyed. So many roofs were torn off that locals gave the storm a grim nickname, Rufus. The cathedral, the parliament, the governor general's own residence were left as roofless shells. Around 39 people were killed, and the damage came close to twice the entire island's economy. From Grenada, Ivan rolled on, tearing across Jamaica and slamming the Cayman Islands before it turned north toward the United States. By the time it set its sights on the Gulf Coast, it had already killed dozens across the Caribbean, and for Florida, it arrived at the worst possible moment. Ivan was the third major hurricane to hit the state in barely 6 weeks. Charlie had torn through in mid-August, Francis in early September, and Jeannie was still to come. 4 hurricanes would strike Florida that year, a record that has never been beaten. People were exhausted, and the ground was already soaked. America braced for the obvious threats: the storm surge, the wind, the flooding along the shore. Nearly 2 million people were told to leave the coast, more than 1 million of them around New Orleans alone. But a hurricane does not end at the shoreline, and the danger Ivan was about to spread inland needed no eye, no surge, and almost no warning.
It's coming in on us. We're going to die in this house if we don't get some help.
Here's what most people don't know about hurricanes. They bring their own tornadoes. In the outer bands of a landfalling hurricane, the spiral arms far from the calm eye, the air near the ground races inland, while the winds higher up are moving in a sharply different direction. Meteorologists call that mismatch wind shear. Feed it the warmth and energy of tropical air, and those rain bands begin spinning up small, fast supercells, thunderstorms with a rotating core. Almost all of them form in the same place, the front right side of the storm as it grinds inland, where the spin is strongest. These are not the mile-wide monsters of the open plains. Hurricane tornadoes are usually smaller and weaker, but they have one terrifying advantage. They form in minutes, often hidden inside curtains of rain, frequently at night, and they give almost no warning at all.
Transformers are popping. Tornado on the ground right now on tower cam. Stay with this. Make sure somebody's rolling on this. Tower, okay, lightning flashes, as you can see. Tornado on the ground.
Overall, 120 tornadoes for Hurricane Ivan, making it the most prolific tornado-producing tropical cyclone ever.
Ivan stops behaving like a single storm. Its outer edge splits into dozens of smaller hunters, and it sends them inland ahead of the eye, into towns that never see them coming. The first one touches down before Ivan's eye has even reached land. On September 15th, while the hurricane is still churning offshore, 26 tornadoes drop across Florida and the southeast. In Panama City, one of them rips apart a real estate office and kills a person inside. Moments later, it claims another life across town. The eye of the hurricane is still a full day from land. On the 16th, landfall day, 32 more touch down. And then comes the 17th. 57 tornadoes in a single day. Many of them come at night, hidden inside walls of rain, with a warning that arrives a minute or two before the tornado does, if it arrives at all. The outbreak marches north with what was left of the storm, spinning up across Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, Maryland, all the way into Pennsylvania. The hurricane that came ashore in Alabama is now throwing tornadoes more than 700 miles from the coast. For 3 days, Ivan is two disasters at the same time. On the coast, it does exactly what everyone feared. Storm surge and 120-mile-per-hour winds flatten beachfront communities from Gulf Shores to Pensacola. The water climbs as high as 15 feet in places. On Perdido Key, a thin strip of homes and condos between the Gulf and the Bay, almost nothing is left standing. The Naval Air Station at Pensacola alone takes close to $1 billion in damage. And as the storm pushes inland over Alabama, its winds snap through more than 2.5 million acres of forest. Over $500 million in timber gone in a night. Thousands of homes along the coast are damaged or destroyed. And then the storm reaches the Interstate 10 bridge over Escambia Bay.
The approaches to the I-10 Escambia Bay Bridge are completely destroyed. The roadbed gone in many parts of the bridge.
The surge lifts 58 concrete sections of the bridge completely off their supports. It shoves another 66 out of line. Whole stretches of the interstate drop straight into the bay. But while the coast is being torn apart by water, the inland states are being torn apart by air. Most of Ivan's tornadoes are weak, rated F0 or F1 on the old Fujita scale. But weak means very little when one drops onto your street out of a wall of rain with no siren and no warning. The strongest of them, an F3, tears through near Remington, Virginia, more than 700 miles from where Ivan made landfall. It lifts a brand new pickup truck off the ground, carries it over 75 yards across trees and power lines, and drops it upside down in a field. 9 states, from Florida to Pennsylvania, all torn up by the same storm. When the bills are finally added up, Ivan has caused $18.82 billion in damage, and it leaves behind a cruel detail that defines the entire storm. Some of the first people Ivan killed in the United States never saw the coast at all. They died inland from tornadoes before the hurricane had even finished coming ashore. Blountstown, Florida, September 15th. A full day before Ivan's eye reaches the coast. This is a small inland community called Macedonia, nowhere near the water. The kind of place that watches a hurricane on the news, not from the window. And then a tornado, rated F2, drops out of one of Ivan's outer rain bands and tears straight through it. It picks up 2 mobile homes at once. One is thrown clear across the road, killing both people inside. Melvin Terry, and a woman the neighbors knew only as Donna. The other is hurled into a nearby house, killing the couple who live there. James Marshall, 41, and his wife Mary, 37. 4 people, and the hurricane is still out at sea. The next day, Mary's 19-year-old son Devin comes back to what's left of the house. Just a slab and a debris field. He pulls a photograph out of the mud, wipes it clean, and realizes what it is. "It's from my mom's wedding," he says. "The picture is here, and she's gone. It's unreal." They were among the very first Americans Ivan killed. Not one of them died from the storm everyone was watching. They died from the storms it threw inland, ahead of itself, in broad daylight, with no siren, and no warning at all. And the tornadoes weren't the only way Ivan reached inland. That same weekend, in the mountains of western North Carolina, hundreds of miles from any coast, the rain loosened a whole hillside above a community called Peaks Creek. A wall of mud and water came down and swept 15 homes away. 5 people were killed. Among them were James and Katie Ruth Watts, a couple who had driven up from the Florida Panhandle to stay with family to get away from Ivan. They had left the coast to be safe. The storm found them in the mountains anyway. By the time Ivan was finished, 7 people had been killed by its tornadoes, and the storm had taken 92 lives in total across the Caribbean and the United States. When the final tornado count came in, the number stood at 117 in the official hurricane report, and as many as 120 by the scientists who track these things for a living. Either number set a record. It was more tornadoes than any tropical cyclone in United States history had ever produced, breaking the record Hurricane Beulah had held since 1967. More than 20 years later, Ivan still holds it. Its name was retired after that season, one of 4 names from 2004 taken off the list for good, the most any Atlantic season has ever lost. 2 things changed because of this storm. The Interstate 10 bridge that Ivan dropped into Escambia Bay was rebuilt. This time, more than twice as high above the water, so that a future surge passes underneath it instead of tearing it apart. And Ivan's tornado outbreak became one of the case studies that taught forecasters which part of a hurricane to fear. Scientists who studied it found something they didn't expect. The same warning signs they use for ordinary tornadoes out on the plains work inside a hurricane too. And Ivan, fed by a stream of dry air, carried far more of them than similar storms. For decades, the warnings had centered on the eye, the surge, the coast. Ivan proved that the quiet-looking outer bands, hundreds of miles inland, can be just as deadly. It reached 700 miles inland, 1 tornado at a time, still the most any hurricane has ever spawned on American soil. We used to fear the eye. Ivan taught us to fear the edges. If you enjoyed this documentary, consider supporting the channel. These stories take days of research, writing, animation, and editing to bring to life. Every like, comment, and subscription helps keep them alive. Thank you for watching.